So the time has come to say goodbye again. On my second trip to South Africa, my first trip to the Western Cape, and before I fly out back to the UK tonight, I thought this might be the perfect place to reflect on my trip. I am at Newlands, a stadium with so much history in its bones. Just over to my left is where Jonah Lomu ran over basically the whole English team to score that iconic try. Just in front of me is where Zinzan Brook slotted that drop goal. To my right is the Darnie Craven stand, and you can just see the terraces on the bottom, and that is where historically the Caped Crusaders would have been seen when the New Zealand provinces came to play, or when New Zealand came to play against South Africa. And that is why this feels like the perfect place to say goodbye, because if I had to summarise my couple of weeks in South Africa on this trip, it has been the transformation of this country with rugby at its core. And I've seen that and I've felt that in a way that, and to a degree, that I hadn't banked on. And before I get any further, thank you so much for watching. I'm Tim and this is Egg Chasers. And if I had to sort of summarise why I have this channel and why I do what I do, it's because I was a 6-year-old boy in a family where no one had ever played rugby before. And after my parents split up, me, my mum and my brother moved to a new town. We moved into a flat in Newbury, and my mum took me along to the local rugby club. And instantly, and you can imagine, you know, tough time for a 6-year-old to go through, and I immediately found a home and a sense of belonging and a sense of identity and camaraderie and great male role models and friendship immediately by going to my local rugby club. And I'm forever grateful for that. And I know that is what makes rugby special, and that is why that's my mission. I want to share that aspect of rugby, the fact that that sense of community, and the fact that if we have rugby in common, you can go anywhere in the world and you'll find someone who'll say, come and sit next to me. And that is again what I have found from this trip to South Africa. The warmth of the people, when you have rugby in common, is not up for debate. But more than that, again, just as much as my first trip when I was in Johannesburg, Pretoria, the Bush, and KwaZulu-Natal, just the desire for people from South Africa to show off their country. And people have described me as promoting South Africa. Honestly, South Africa promotes itself. I just hit record and the country does the rest. I have had the best time. And my time this time started in Johannesburg. And I'm really glad I took a trip to the Apartheid Museum. I was aware of it. Obviously, the story of Nelson Mandela, of apartheid, of the exclusion from international sport and the rest of it, that was obviously something I was aware of. But they don't teach this stuff in school. So it hit me hard, actually, seeing and feeling that period, that trip to the Apartheid Museum, to Vilakazi Street. It really hammered home where South Africa was. And then, like I say, once you gain an appreciation of that, you then also appreciate where the country is and how big a part rugby has. And yeah, what that Springbok emblem meant and what it now represents is an amazing story. And I think I said it yesterday on the Keo and Zell show, which I was really it was awesome to go on, and the box office show as well. And if you haven't seen those, you should go and check those out too. But it might be the story of the Springbok emblem on that jersey, what it represented, what it now represents, what the South African team now looks like, what the South African rugby community now consists of, what the people in the stands now looks like, might be the greatest sporting story of all. I cannot think of a more powerful and potent sporting story. And yeah, when I think about the couple of weeks I've had, that trip from Johannesburg, and then seeing the crowd in that Cape Town stadium. I'll be honest, when those students from Tiger Bird High School were putting on that performance on the pitch, I got more than a bit choked up. And when that young lad, Sim Fiwe, I hope I've said your name right. When I just went up to a family in the street, and little Sim Fiwe said, "I watch you." Tell you what, that meant a lot. That really did. And that's just off the pitch. I also got to witness the greatest rivalry. Before the Rugby World Cup, I'll be honest, I was completely ignorant of the special place that South African and New Zealanders have for that particular matchup in World Rugby. And after being educated of that through the World Cup, I said, I am coming for those games. And I'm so glad I did. The mutual respect, the rivalry, the history of that fixture is brilliant. And so to come and witness it, and to be a neutral and just watch that unfold in front of me was very, very special. Feel privileged to be here now. Sad to go home. I will be coming back with my wife and kids. I know I said that on my last trip, but I really will. I really, really will. I've been sending them pictures back, and they're all desperate to be here. And that's it's because of the astounding natural beauty of this country, which I will come on. What have I learned on this trip? Well, I already learnt about brandy on my last trip, but I've learnt more about brandy now. Okay, so now I know that if you want to do brandy right, it's a double shot. Don't bother with single measures, and a big glass that has to be full of ice. Okay, so I've been put straight on that one. I also realised there's if you drew a graph, and I'll have to try and describe this now, north, south, wine, brandy, the line goes like that. The further north you go, the more brandy is consumed. The further south you go, the more wine is consumed. I do like wine, as well as liking brandy. I do like the wine down in these parts. I've got two favourite wines. I like the red and the white. It's lovely. And also, well, yeah, I said you have to have a brandy in a big glass with loads of ice. You can also, as that woman I interviewed in Ellis Park showed, you can have it in a giant bucket as well. That's perfectly acceptable. What have I seen? Talked about the astounding natural beauty. I was really taken by KwaZulu-Natal, and that stretch of coastline north of Durban is just incredible. And I've now seen a bit of coastline in the Cape. Wow. Hermanus, Walker Bay, Chapman's Peak, Cape Point, Table Mountain, Lion's Head, the Winelands. Wow. Just wow. Do you ever get bored of it if you're from this part of the world? Do you ever take it for granted just how astoundingly beautiful it is? It's incredible. It's like, how would I put it? It's like Cape Town is like and the Western Cape generally, is like a 10 out of 10 stunner who turns heads when they walk down the street. They must get bored of just people just gawping at them every time they walk somewhere. But that's what it's like. If the Western Cape was a person, it would be a 10 out of a 10 knockout that would walk down the street and everybody would turn their heads. And the more I see, the more I realise I've got stuff I want to see. The more I learn, I realise how much I've still got to learn, and I'm going to. I haven't been any further east or south, or I don't know. They say south and north, but actually it's west and east, really, isn't it? But anyway, I haven't been any further east than Walker Bay, and I've still got all those beautiful places like Knysna and George and Herald's Bay. I've got all those places to see, and I want to go further round, connect the dots from where I've been round in Durban, and do that Eastern Cape, the wild coast. I want to go further west. I want to go further inland. I want to see the Drakensberg Mountains. I want to see the Valley of a Thousand Hills. I've got all this still to do. But I'll tell you the best thing of all of it, and this is what I would recommend to anybody outside of South Africa, if you're from the UK or Ireland or anywhere, frankly, come to South Africa. Well, yeah, come to South Africa 100%. Come to South Africa with rugby as part of your trip. I've absolutely loved seeing it through the eyes of rugby fans, and with kind of rugby as a key theme of my trip, a key part of it, because you get under the skin of a country. you get under the skin of this country when you come and look at it through a rugby lens. It's amazing. I think you see the real people, the real attitude, the real hospitality. And on that, by the way, I'm trying to think the number of, I've been cooked. Some of my favourite memories. There are amazing restaurants and lots of them. I really love the Brass Bell. Is that Meisenberg? That one. There's so many places. The farm shops. Oh, I had the best sausage roll of my life, and I thought the UK did sausage rolls well. Anyway, I've had so many steaks. I've had enough steak now. I'm going home thinking my last meal is not going to be a steak. I've had enough. But my favourite memories are when I've been hosted at people's homes. The Poikikos with the Staines in Johannesburg, the T-bone steak on the Braai in Johannesburg, and I had another Braai. Thank you to Matt Pearce for hosting, and congratulations, Matt, on your 150th game commentating on the Springboks. No mean feat, that. But just being welcomed into people's homes. That's how I've felt, whether I've been turning up at a rugby ground. Here, I just turned up at Newlands and said, I'd really, really love to just see this stadium. Who knows how much longer it will be here. And the people couldn't have been more friendly and welcoming and explaining the history of this place and where certain things on the field happened. That's South African people, full stop, but even more so when you are talking rugby. Absolutely loved it. So, I brought the weather with me. Well, no, I was going to say I brought the weather with me. I'm going back to horrible weather. I've been very lucky with the weather as well while I've been here. Beautiful day. An amazing trip. Thank you very much. If you appreciate the content on the channel, if you enjoy the content, then please hit subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Leave your comments. And I will see you on the next one. But the last time I was here, I knew I was coming back in a month. On this particular trip, I'm not exactly certain when I'm going to be back, but I know I will be back. And I know I'll be back with my family as well. Amazing time. Thank you. Thanks. Actually, one final message before I do go, and that is that I did manage to do it. It happened. It really happened. Have a look at this. Coming on the channel very soon. Deon Fourie. Brannus. And for that, Via Pia, you lekker ding.